Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. If you're the kind of person who loves to learn efficiently and get straight to the facts, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating biology and just incredible adaptations of North American otters. We're going to unpack exactly how these creatures survive and thrive in some really intensely demanding environments. Now, it's honestly hard not to be immediately hooked by a heartwarming scene like this. A mother sea otter floating peacefully with her incredibly fluffy pup resting right on her chest. But behind this adorable exterior is a hardcore survival story. The physical traits that actually allow this mother and pup to float, stay warm, and find food are nothing short of evolutionary superpowers. Okay, let's jump right into part one. Meet North America's otters, a tale of two swimmers. So while they share a name, the two distinct stars of our explainer are actually quite different, even though they're both highly active carnivores closely related to weasels and badgers. On the left, you've got the river otter with a sleek body, a long pointed tail, and a flat head. It's perfectly streamlined for darting through rivers. Contrast that with its ocean-dwelling cousin on the right, the sea otter, which has a much bulkier appearance, a rounder face, and honestly a completely different fur texture entirely. And you can see the size disparity here. It is massive. A large male river otter maxes out around 14 kilograms, or 31 pounds. But an adult male sea otter, they can weigh a staggering 43 kilograms. That's 95 pounds. You're basically looking at an animal the size of a large dog, living entirely in the freezing ocean, whereas the much smaller river otter splits its time between water and land habitats across North America. Moving on to part two, built for the water, engineering a marine marvel. Both of these otters have bodies that are absolute marvels of natural engineering, perfectly built to navigate, hunt, and, just stay alive in freezing temperatures. When an otter dives, strong muscles automatically close their ears and nose to keep the water out. To hunt in dark or muddy water, they use these highly sensitive whiskers to feel the minute movements of their prey. Add to that extra-large lungs acting as built-in scuba tanks for massive prolonged dives, and a super flexible spine that lets them twist, roll, and reach nearly every part of their body. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how they stay warm. Unlike whales or seals, otters don't have a thick layer of blubber. Instead, they rely entirely on a highly specialized two-layer coat of fur. On the outside, long, flat guard hairs shed water. Beneath that is the underfur, a thick layer of short, super-fine hairs that trap a layer of air right next to the skin. That air barrier is literally all that protects them from freezing to death. And to make that air barrier work, we'll just look at this number, 1 million. A sea otter can have up to 1 million hairs packed into a piece of fur the size of a single postage stamp. Let that sink in for a second. It is the thickest fur of any animal on the planet. But having that much fur comes with a massive responsibility. An otter's skin is incredibly loose. So loose, they can actually grab a flap of skin and pull it all the way around to the front of their body to groom it. If their fur gets dirty or matted, it can't trap those life-saving air bubbles. So using that flexible spine, they obsessively comb their fur with sharp claws and literally blow air into it to fluff it up. It's a daily chore that means life or death. Let's look at part three, masters of movement, belly down versus belly up. Because of their different body types and habitats, these otters have evolved completely different ways of navigating their watery worlds. River otters are highly streamlined, swimming belly down along the surface. They tuck their front paws in tight to their chest and kick their powerful webbed hind feet like swim fins. They carry this speed right onto land, easily running long distances and, as you might know, famously sliding down snowy or muddy slopes on their bellies just to get around faster. Contrast this directly with the sea otter, which almost exclusively swims on its back along the water's surface, kicking its giant flipper-like hind feet or swishing its tail to steer. Those massive back feet make them incredible divers. They can stay under for up to 4 full minutes. But there's a trade-off. Those same giant flippers make them highly clumsy on land, which is exactly why a sea otter rarely leaves the water unless it's to rest briefly at the edge or if it's injured. Which brings us to part 4, what's on the menu, fueling the furnace. All of this swimming, diving, and trying to stay warm in freezing water takes a massive amount of energy, which leads to enormous appetites. River otters hunt fast-moving freshwater prey like fish, frogs, crayfish, and even mice or birds, and they almost always drag their catch back to the shore to eat. Sea otters, on the other hand, hunt the ocean floor for sea urchins, snails, squid, and crabs. Brilliantly, they eat right there in the water, floating on their backs, often carrying a stone up from the bottom, placing it on their chest, and using it as a literal anvil to smash open hard shells. So, the crucial point here is their metabolism. Because the ocean is so cold and they have absolutely zero blubber, a sea otter's metabolism is in constant overdrive. To survive, they have to eat roughly 1/4, 25%, of their entire body weight in food every single day. To put that into perspective, imagine an average human having to eat 40 pounds of food a day just to keep their body temperature up.
Next up, Part 5, Family Life and Pups, From Helpless to Hunters.
Raising young in these harsh, demanding environments is a monumental task. Sea otter pups are born right in the water. They can't swim yet, but their fur is so insanely fluffy that they act like little corks, naturally floating. But the ocean has currents, right? So just like putting a baby in a secure crib, a mother sea otter will actually wrap her floating pup in thick strands of kelp, essentially anchoring the baby in place so it doesn't drift out to sea while she dives for food. While sea otters are born in the water with their eyes open, river otters are born in dens on land, totally blind and helpless. It takes 3 full weeks just for a river otter pup to open its eyes and 6 weeks before it starts learning to swim. But regardless of the species, these pups will stick with their fiercely protective mothers for up to a full year, learning exactly how to dive, hunt, and groom that absolutely crucial fur. And part of that year-long education includes a whole lot of roughhousing and play fighting. I mean, it looks like pure fun, and they certainly enjoy it, but this is actually rigorous survival school. By wrestling, they're developing their muscles, practicing their agility, and learning defensive maneuvers. It's critical practice for the harsh realities of the wild. And speaking of the wild, Part 6, Surviving in the Wild, Predators and Protections. Those harsh realities are significant. Out in the open ocean, sea otters face massive marine predators like killer whales and great white sharks, not to mention bald eagles that might swoop down to grab a pup. Because they're clumsy on land, they can't just run away. Instead, they rely on numbers, forming large floating social groups called rafts. They also strategically live and hide within dense underwater kelp forests, which break the crashing waves and conceal them from the predators below. River otters, though, they take a much more aggressive approach to defense. Unlike the sea otter that hides, the river otter will fiercely fight. They use a strong-smelling scented oil called musk stored under their tail to mark their territory. And if a land predator, like a bobcat, lynx, coyote, or wolf enters that territory, river otters are incredibly strong, vicious fighters who won't hesitate to attack to defend their dens and their young. So when you look at the sheer amount of energy they have to consume, the freezing temperatures they endure without blubber, and the constant threat of massive predators, it really is a masterclass in evolutionary engineering. But considering the increasingly rapid changes to our oceans and rivers today, it leaves us with one critical question. Are the brilliant adaptations that kept these playful swimmers alive for millions of years enough to ensure their survival in the future?